In this model and in this clip, we're going to start applying the different textures to our objects. So in this clip, I will start by the trunk, and especially I will start with the box object of the trunk, which is going to be our default template for applying these textures that we just export from Custom Painter to all the other objects. So I will go start and basically select this box object here, and actually I will open our Hypershade. And here on our Hypershade, what I want to do is create our box material. So I will start by changing the name of the tab. So this is going to be box matte for material. And then I will create a Pixar surface shader. So this Pixar surface shader is basically exactly the same one that Pixar has been using in the latest production. The Pixar surface material is a very powerful material. It is a monolithic shader that will allow you to recreate or modify your material in any way that you want. You can create glass, you can create diffuse surface, subsurface scattering, any type of different type surfacing that you want to do through this material. So having that in mind, I will just start by typing the name of box matte. So this is going to be our box material. And then on our surface shader shading group, I will just go ahead and change this to box. Actually, let me type there box shading group. All right, so now we have our shading group fairly working. Now that we have our shading group fairly working, what I want to do is basically bring in a couple textures to apply to this material. So we'll start by typing Pixar texture. So this will bring in our texture node. And this is the basic and default file node that will use RenderMan to bring in our images. So now that I have this, I will start typing this color, or actually let me go back, box color file, and then I will open this icon here, and this will allow me to go to our source images. Then I will go to our trunk textures, I will look for the box color TIFF, and I will hit open. Since we export these textures in a linear way with 32 float bits, I will not change or turn on the linearize. It should work by default. Then we're going to pick Catmull ROM as a filter, which is going to work better for our Pixar texture. So now that we have this, I will grab our result RGB and pick this one here and connect that one to the diffuse color. Now that I have that, the next thing I will do is type again Pixar texture, and I will bring a new node here. And this node is going to be box specular file. All right, so now that we have that one, let me pick our specular. So I will go again to our source images. I will go to the trunk, look for the box specular.tiff and bring that in, change the filter to Catmull ROM, and we are ready to go. So since this is a RGB color, the only place that we want to plug this in is going to be on the specular edge color and the specular face color. So now I will go here and pick our result RGB and then the result RGB here, and you can tell that now you can plug it in that to those two sliders. So let me just plug in that one there, and that should make work the specular color. So I'm just hitting 1 on my keyboard to minimize these little nodes. Then the next thing I want to bring in is going to be our reflection texture. So again, I will hit tab on my keyboard. I will type PXR texture and bring another texture. And this is going to be our box reflection file. All right. Then I will change to Catmull ROM and look for the appropriate file. So source images, trunk texture, and I will go to our box reflections. Now that I have this one, this will behave a little bit different. So we need to bring in a Pixar to float node. So this will basically keep only one channel or regenerate one single channel to be applied to the reflection. So what you need to do is grab this RGB result here and connect it to the input. You can see that the connection has been done. Then on this Pixar to float, I will change this to luminance, and then I will name this box reflections float because we're going to bring in another one later on. Then I will just zoom in a little bit so we could see a little bit better, and then I will grab the result F for float and then plug in that one on the reflection gain. So the reason we're picking up the float output from our texture is because we need to drive the reflection gain with a black to white attribute, and this is how we do it. We just extract one of all the channels of our texture file. So the next one is going to be the Pixar texture as well, and this is going to be for our roughness. So I will call this box-roughness and then file. All right, so now that we have that one there, I will change this to CADModROM, and I will select our texture from our Tron texture folder. So this is going to be box roughness. There you go, and hit open, and this will apply it. Now with this roughness, we need to do exactly the same operation. So I will bring in a Pixar to float node. Then I will call this box roughness float. All right, change the mode to luminance, and then grab the result RGB and plug that into the input. Then pick the result F, and I will plug in this to the specular roughness, and also I will do it to the glass roughness, because this glass roughness, let me select our material here, I will go down. As you can tell here, basically on our glass tab, we have these sliders which are gonna basically control the glass properties of this material. But since we are basically applying the reflections through this slider here, we need to also change the roughness on that reflections. So now that we have that one there, I will just hit 1 and 1 on these two nodes, so they are minimized. And then our last step is going to bring in our normal map. So for this one, I will try to bring a Pixar normal map instead of the texture map. Then, having this, I will just call this box normal file, and then I will just go ahead and bring our box normal. So I will go to our trunk texture, I will go to box normal.tiff, and this will change our parameters here, or our mapping controls on this tab on the actual node. So then I will change this to CADModROM, and then I will just go ahead and pick the result N and plug that into the bump normal. So this should be the full compound of our material. So just to review, let me just minimize this one here. I will move our nodes a little bit here. So we are bringing all of the textures corresponding to the channels of our object in Substance Painter. And then what I want to do is basically I can close this one here, and I will go ahead and select our box. I will go right click and assign existing material. I will pick the box material, so that has been applied there. And then I will change from our viewer here to our render window. So I will do that because I set up this before with our spacebar on my keyboard. And as you can tell, this is just the default diffuse material applied to it. But now we applied a box material to these areas here, here, and here. So I will just hit IPR and see what we get. All right, so here we have our result, and as you can tell, it has applied the box material. And the very cool thing about this is that once you have connect the proper textures to the proper material here on RenderMan, it will create a very strong bridge between Substance Painter and RenderMan. In this way, you can go back to Substance Painter, do some changes to your materials, re-export your maps, and bring them back automatically. Now that you have the connections, the only thing that you have to do is replace your files on your texture files folder. Now that we have this, I will stop this clip here, and in the next clip I will basically bring in a script that will help us to apply the same structure to the different objects, and that will basically make more efficient our overall process between Substance Painter and RenderMan.